السلام عليكم. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. لا يستوي أصحاب النار وأصحاب الجنة. أصحاب الجنة هم الفائزون. لو أنزلنا هذا القرآن على جبل لرأيته خاشعا متصدعا من خشية الله. وتلك الأمثال نضربها للناس لعلهم يتفكرون. صدق الله العظيم.
Thank you, Mr. Sattar. Ladies and gentlemen, may I now humbly request Mr. Human Rashid, Senior Past President of Dcci, to kindly give his welcome address.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Distinguished chief guests of today's program, President Hossein Khalid, Dcci, Mr. Sohaib Chaudhary, Vice President Dcci, Dr. Ahmed Sheikh Asif, Country Director in Global, this designated discussant of today's workshop, Professor Department of Management, University of Dhaka. Keynote paper presenters, Mr. Henry Turner, President, Dean, Mr. Dave Dotto, Consultant, ICT Singapore, distinguished former presidents, vice presidents, former directors, Director of Dcci, dignified invitees, distinguished guests and participants, representative of media, both print and electronic. Assalamu alaikum, good morning, and Shubha Navabarsha. On behalf of Dhaka Chamber, Dcci, it is great honor to be cordially welcome you all to our today's workshop, Opportunity Out of Crisis. It is jointly organized by Dcci and Lean Leaderships in International Management, LLC, at Dhaka. The object of the workshop is to address the current business crisis and bring out the best opportunity from it. Bangladesh is a country of opportunity because this is a very large country. 160 million people live in such a small tiny land. So it's a very, very large market. Probably it is half of the population of the United States lives in such a small place, so you can imagine how big the market it is. And Dcci helps creating the better business environment with the advocacy for the business and help creating more jobs in this market. Today, we need leaders in business, in our every steps of operations. And I, on behalf of
To
having
kindly make an introduction on Lean Global USA.
আসসালামু আলাইকুম। আমি আন্তরিকভাবে ধন্যবাদ জানাচ্ছি আজকের এই অধিবেশনের প্রধান অতিথি আমাদের অত্যন্ত সম্মানিত মিস্টার হোসেন খালেদ, প্রেসিডেন্ট ডিসিসি। আমি অত্যন্ত আনন্দিত যে আমি জনাব এমপি শহীদ চৌধুরী সাহেব ভাইস প্রেসিডেন্ট তার আন্তরিক সহযোগিতা আমি পেয়েছি এই কাজটি করার জন্য। আমি আন্তরিকভাবে ধন্যবাদ জানাচ্ছি মিস্টার হুমায়ুন রশিদ, সিনিয়র ভাইস প্রেসিডেন্ট ডিসিসি। আমি একটু বাংলায় বলছি কারণ হলো প্রাণের কথাগুলো বাংলাতে যতটা আসে ইংরেজিতে ততটা আসে না। ইংরেজি অনেকটা আমার কাছে লাগে ফর্মাল, ইংরেজিতে বাইরে কথা বলতে যতটা কমফোর্ট, আমার প্রাণের মানুষের কাছে কথা বলতে আমি ততটা কমফোর্ট ফিল করি না। এটা আমার দুর্বলতাও হতে পারে অথবা কোনো একটা সেন্সে সফলতা। লিন গ্লোবাল কি এটা বলার জন্যই আজকে আপনাদের সাথে আমাদের আসা। দ্বিতীয় কথাটি থাকবে অপরচুনিটি, ক্রাইসিস থেকে অপরচুনিটি কি করে বের করে দেওয়া যায়। আমরা সম্মানের সাথে বাঁচতে চাই আর আত্মমর্যাদাশীল জাতি হিসাবে বাঁচতে চাই, এই দুটো শব্দ, আর কিছু চাই না। আমাদের সম্মান, আত্মমর্যাদা বোধ এবং আর্থিক সুনিশ্চয়তা। কারণ আমার সন্তান আছে, আমি থার্ড স্টেজে আছি, তার মানে আমার যুব শক্তিরা প্রথম স্টেজে আছে। তারা কিভাবে সম্মানের সাথে, দক্ষতার সাথে, আন্তর্জাতিকভাবে নিজেদেরকে প্রতিষ্ঠিত করবে, এই স্বপ্ন নিয়ে বহু বছরের প্রচেষ্টার ফলে কিন্তু আমরা এই জায়গাতে বাস করতে পেরেছি। লিন গ্লোবাল 29 বছর ধরে সার্ভিস দিচ্ছে 60টার অধিক দেশে, 60 কান্ট্রিজের অধিক দেশে। লিন গ্লোবাল সার্ভিস দিচ্ছে ফরচুন 500 কোম্পানির 17টাকে। লিন গ্লোবাল সার্ভিস দিচ্ছে হান্ড্রেডস অফ কর্পোরেশন। আমি ওদেরকে নিয়ে আসতে পেরেছি। আমার দেশ অসম্ভব শক্তিশালী দেশ, আমাদের বিজনেসম্যানরা অসম্ভব শক্তিশালী বিজনেসম্যান। তারা শূন্য থেকে সৃষ্টি করতে পারে। আজকে ঢাকা চেম্বার অফ কমার্স এন্ড ইন্ডাস্ট্রিতে আসার পরে আমার অসম্ভব ভালো লাগছে। অসংখ্য সফল মানুষের সামনে আসার মধ্যে কিন্তু এক ধরনের অসম্ভব স্বপ্ন কাজ করে যে না, কোথাও হতাশা নেই, চ্যালেঞ্জ আছে। আমাদের গতকালকে ঢাকা ইউনিভার্সিটিতে 129 জন ইয়াং ছেলেদের সাথে কথা বলার পরে মনে হলো না, বাংলাদেশে হতাশার কিছু নেই, বাংলাদেশ অত্যন্ত এগিয়ে যাচ্ছে। প্রবলেমটা কোথায়? আমি 28 বছর ব্যাংকিং সার্ভিসে কাজ করেছি, আমি এমএস থেকে কাজ করেছি, ফরেন ব্যাংকে কাজ করেছি, মাল্টিন্যাশনালে কাজ করেছি, আমি গভর্নমেন্ট ব্যাংকে। আমি আপনাদেরকে যতটা চিনি, আমি 17 বছর ম্যানেজারই করেছি। স্বাভাবিকভাবে আমাকে কিন্তু বিজনেসম্যানদের সাথে যতটা পরিচিত হতে হয়েছে, খুব কম লোকের সৌভাগ্য হয়েছে আপনাদের সাথে পরিচিত হওয়া। আপনাদের কষ্ট, বেতন দেওয়ার সময় আপনাদের যন্ত্রণা, আপনাদের চারিদিকের যে যন্ত্রণা, রাতের ঘুম হারাম হওয়া, এটা আমি যতটা ফেস করেছি অ্যাজ এ ম্যানেজার, খুব কম লোকের সৌভাগ্য হয়েছে। আমি কিন্তু আপনাদের সাথে আপনাদের কষ্টকে দূর করা কিভাবে যায়, থিওরিটিক্যালি, প্র্যাকটিক্যালি, সিস্টেমেটিক্যালি, এই মেথোডোলজি দিয়ে, লিনের মেথোডোলজি ভেরি ইউনিক, অ্যাকশন, রিফ্লেকশন, লার্নিং। এই মেথোডোলজি কিন্তু একটা চমৎকার মেথোডোলজি, এটা আমাদের কাজে লাগবে। আমরা আর দুটো কথা বলবো, কারণ আপনাদের সামনে কথা বলার জন্য আমাকে আরো প্রস্তুতি নেওয়া উচিত। আপনারা অসম্ভব সফল মানুষ, আমার ক্ষুদ্র জ্ঞান দিয়ে শুধু এইটুকুই বলতে পারি। আমি এখানে এসেছি আমরা ব্রিজিং করতে। আপনাদের জ্ঞান, এই জ্ঞানটাকে কিভাবে আমরা সবাই আত্মস্থ করতে পারি, সেই জ্ঞানটাকে কিভাবে নতুন জেনারেশনের ব্যাংকারদের কাছে, নতুন জেনারেশনের এন্টারপ্রেনারদের কাছে, নতুন জেনারেশনের ইউথের কাছে ছড়িয়ে দেওয়া যায়। আপনারা এক একজন রোল মডেল, আমরা আপনাদেরকে রোল মডেল হিসেবে দেখতে চাই। আপনাদের যে সাকসেস স্টোরি, এটা আমাদেরকে আপনাদের সাকসেস স্টোরির মধ্যে যদি কোনো গ্যাপ থাকে সেই গ্যাপটুকু আমরা একটুখানি আপনাদের সহযোগিতায় পূরণ করতে চাই, যাতে করে নেক্সট জেনারেশন অনেক সফল ব্যবসায়ী আপনারা তৈরি করে দিতে পারেন। আপনারা এক একজন 100, 1000, 10,000, 50,000 লোককে এমপ্লয়মেন্ট দিয়েছেন। এটা কত বড় কথা, কতগুলো রিজিকের ব্যবস্থা আপনারা করেছেন। আপনাদের পরে যারা আসছে তাদের একটু হাত ধরে দেন, আপনাদের জ্ঞান তাদেরকে একটু শেয়ার করে দেন, আমরা আপনাদের সাথে একটু কাজ করতে চাই। আমার মনে হয় লিড গ্লোবালের স্বপ্ন আমরা বললাম, লিড গ্লোবালের 30 বছর স্ট্রেংথ আমরা জানালাম। লিড গ্লোবালের সাথে সারা বিশ্বের 60 জনের উপর এক্সপার্ট কিন্তু কাজ করছে। আমরা গত 1.5 বছর ধরে কিন্তু এই বাংলাদেশ নিয়ে কাজ করেছি, নীরবে কাজ করেছি। মালয়েশিয়াতে সো মেনি টাইমস আমরা মিট করেছি, সিঙ্গাপুরে মিট করেছি, অস্ট্রেলিয়াতে মিট করেছি, লন্ডনে মিট করেছি, শুধু বাংলাদেশ নয়। কেন বাংলাদেশ? এটা আমার দেশ, আমি তো অন্য দেশ নিয়ে কাজ করব। আমার কথা যতটা আপনারা বুঝবে, অন্য দেশ নিয়ে তা বুঝবে। আমার এই স্বপ্নটুকু আপনাদেরকে নিয়ে। আমি অনেক ক্ষুদ্র মানুষ, কিন্তু আমি চাই আপনাদের কিনে আমি বড় হতে, আমাদের দেশটা বড় হোক, আমরা আত্মমর্যাদাশীল জাতি হিসেবে হই। এখন কিভাবে হবে, মেথোডলজি কি হবে, সেগুলো আলাদাই ব্যাপার। আমি পরিচয় করে দিচ্ছি আর্নি টার্নারের সাথে। He's a great man. He thinks like a terrible thing. He can adjust so many countries, so many things. He is working almost 70 countries, all over the world. 4 continents, North America, Asia, Europe, and other continents. So many different types of organizations working. My advisor, ICT consultant, and so many business strategy consultant, Devdatta, he's doing it fantastically in all over the countries. So many countries he has the experience. I have Lynn Gray. He has a great personality. He's working in United Nations advisor. We have Ruby Palma. She's an expert in this youth development. We have Professor Mohiuddin. He's a great man in Dhaka University. He's my professor. And also Farhin Bukri. She's another fantastic guy. Gurbabishi, he's from Australia. He has lots of skills in all the internal management, governance. So many experts in this category. We need your help to identify what areas we can develop, what areas we can go for partnership. I think I can conclude it here. Also, আমি ধন্যবাদ দিচ্ছি আপনাদের সবাইকে এখানে আসার জন্য। সরি, আমার কথাতে যদি আপনারা কোনো কারণে দুঃখ পেয়ে থাকেন, তা আমি ক্ষমা করছি। থ্যাংক ইউ ভেরি মাচ। থ্যাংক ইউ।
Thank you, Dr. Ahmed. Ladies and gentlemen, may I now request Mr. Arnie Turner, President of Lean Global USA, to present the keynote paper.
Thank you very much. I'm reading the sign in the back, and it speaks to my heart. I am very glad to be here. This is my first time in Bangladesh. I've had the privilege of working all over Asia over the last 10 years, and actually I was in Asia for 3 years, living from 1965 to 1968, when many of you were still young kids, and some of you weren't even here. That experience turned my life around. I was working as a Peace Corps volunteer, teaching in a government secondary school in Borneo, a little town called Bintulu, when the jungles of Borneo were 90% there. Today, unfortunately, only 10% are there. And I think part of my experience there has really brought me here, because I got a passion for Asia. I've since I get to Asia about 5 or 6 times a year. And my wife often says, remember me, I'm in Florida. I come from Florida. And it's a wonderful place to be. I'm used to your climate. I woke up this morning and I said, I feel like I'm in Miami. Nice and humid. But my 3 years in Borneo really transformed my life. I developed not only appreciation for different cultures and different religions and different ways of life and the beauty of the natural resources in your region, but probably equally as important, I discovered the difference between teaching and learning. And our company, LIM, is in the learning business. And there's a formula that goes something like this. L must be equal to or greater than ROC. L stands for learning, and ROC stands for rate of change. And this is core to our life. We call ourselves learning coaches, not consultants, but learning coaches. We're in the learning business. When we stop learning, we go out of business. The same goes for you. If you don't know it, you're in the learning business as well. And constantly we have to ask ourselves, so what are we learning? What could we learn? What are we doing well? So we appreciate all that we've done in our past to get us to where we are. Sometimes we forget all the good things that make us who we are today as leaders. And what could I do differently? What feedback am I getting so that I can be a better leader? So we're in the learning business and we're in the leadership business. More specifically, we're in the shared leadership business. And I was having a chat with a few people yesterday and today about one of the challenges in Bangladesh that is not unlike challenges in the United States and any other country. It's how do you get the top person in the company to ask for help? Help is a four-letter word that is very seldom used and can actually turn a company around. And I've seen it time after time. When a leader can say, I can't do it alone, I need your help. Looking to his or her own leadership team and then the teams underneath. I was working in a New York City school many years ago after living in Borneo and Angola and Kenya and Sardinia. Had about 8 years of educational experience and reform. I was invited to come into New York City school system to see what can we do to turn the school system around. This is 1974. New York City was really struggling to bring relevance into the school system. The kids didn't find it. Teachers, parents, administrators were having a difficult time. And I happened to take on one of the most difficult schools as a coach to that school. It was in crisis. Four-story building, the top floor had been burned out by the students. The doors had been bolted by the custodian to keep the intruders from coming in. And the doorknobs had been knocked off of all the doors. More windows were broken than not. It was not a place of learning. It wasn't a secure place. But what happened was when the principal, who was an ex-Green Bay Packer professional football player, a black gentleman of 250 pounds, 6'5", very intimidating, he said, I'm going to turn this school around. He had a big fist. And his big fist and the Irish head of the teachers union, his big fist, they got into a fisticuffs. So it was not a place of learning, it was a place of real fighting inside the school, emotionally. And when he asked for help, and he said, Ernie, I don't know what it is you can do, but I need it. I've tried everything else. And that was the magic word. When he asked for help, and he asked his teachers, he asked his parents, he asked his students, this is not my school, it's our school. What can we do? So what we did, we helped them sit down and work together and create and dreamt a new school. And it revolutionized that school. Since then, I've been taking that idea to businesses and all kinds of organizations around the world, as you've just said, actually. And I found the magic of the word health, plus the methodology that we're using as we offer businesses. And this is what we bring to you today. The notion that in a crisis you have really a lot of opportunities if you ask for help and you ask your own people first. Because that's where the answers lie. Many people say we have to think outside the box. I disagree. There's good learning from outside the box, but some of the best answers to your own crisis, your own opportunities are sitting inside the box. The people on your right hand, your left hand, maybe 2 or 3 down the line who are actually doing a lot of the work. They are the ones who, if you ask them, what would you do? What could we do? Wonderful answers can come up. I've seen it happen. A few years ago, we got a call from Prudential Life Insurance Company in New York City. And the head of HR said, the president has asked me to figure out how we can solve a real crisis that we're facing right now. We're losing our sales force faster than we can hire them. We're bleeding to death. So she said, Ernie, could you come in? Could Lynn come in and help us figure out how to deal with this crisis? You know, in most crises, people tend to panic. They try to do something right away without slowing down and reflecting. And perhaps this is one of the first steps in any crisis, is to stop doing and start thinking, start reflecting, and saying, what is it that we're in anyway? What is our business? What are we learning? What is the real problem? Are there people in our business who are doing something right? And we discovered, as we started to put a workshop together, a 2-day workshop called Opportunity in Crisis for that company, that there was a gentleman who was running the business in Japan who had the secret of what solved the problem in the USA. So the lesson that I've learned from that is always ask inside your organization, what are we doing right somewhere that we could piggyback and do in our own part of the business. A few years ago, I was working with Volvo Truck, and they were going through a crisis as well. They wanted to become global, but they didn't have leaders who had a global mindset. They had a very traditional Scandinavian mindset. Now the Scandinavians, many of you know, are very reflective. And that's one of the things I like about them. It's natural for them to pause and think. And I got a call from the head of talent development who said, we've heard about LIM, we've heard about your methodology, action, reflection, learning. It really means let's earn and learn simultaneously. Rather than using case studies, let's use our own business challenges to develop our people. So we can earn through the ROI of these business challenges while we're learning about shared leadership, we're learning about teamwork, we're learning about consulting skills, we're learning about project management, we're learning about ourselves, we're learning about our colleagues, and we're learning about the company. They're also learning about becoming global leaders. So she went to the CEO, a guy named Stan Legadius, and she said, Stan, I have an idea of how we can get out of crisis and develop our global business to allow us to really compete globally and not just in Scandinavia. And he said, Ava, let's face it, leaders are born, they're not made. Why should we waste our money on developing leaders? So she looked at him and she said, Stan, why did you hire me? He said, I think that's a good question. So she said to him, she was willing to stand up and speak up. And she said, look, I'm firmly believing that we can develop leaders. Naturally, some people have more leadership skills than others, but anyone can develop a leadership skill if they're interested. So she said, I'm going to go after it and make it happen. He said, don't look to me for money. She found the money, she ran the program, and she said, Stan, you need to show up at the first module. It was a 5-module program, 4 days each module, a big investment in developing leaders. And she said, I want you to show up and pretend that you believe that leaders can be developed. He showed up, he fooled everybody. The 5th module, when all the teams were coming together to demonstrate and show how they had solved many of the critical challenges in the company. I was sitting next to him and he turned to me and he said, Ernie, I don't know if you know, but I was not a fan of this program. In fact, I was really opposed to it. Ava persuaded me to go through it. He said, now I'm convinced. And it's not because we're earning and saving millions of dollars through these projects. That's great. He said, but I've been looking at the individuals who are in this program and they have gone through a transformational experience. They've changed their attitude, they've changed their behavior, and now we have people who know how to fish continually. We've caught some good fish, but the best thing for the company is we have leaders who will continue to perform. And this is what we offer you. An opportunity, if you're looking for it, how to make a change in your leadership style, if you are interested in sharing leadership, sharing the work so that the voices in your company can be heard. Because that's where the power is, that's where the answers are. Our services, our executive coaching, working one-on-one, working with teams, helping teams become higher performing teams, developing leadership development programs, co-designing with you, co-delivering with you. It could be done in one company, it could be done across many companies, it could be sponsored by the Chamber of Commerce, where we could work with a number of your high potentials who are interested in really solving some of your business challenges and getting developed simultaneously. We also train people to do what we do. so that your HR, human resource business partners, your organization development partners are able to sit in teams and add value. Because the building block of every company is a team. And if you can begin at the top and help that team become a higher performing team and cascade that to the rest of the company, you can really transform the organization. It's a wonderful organization development approach and business development approach simultaneously. And as Ashik mentioned, one of the purposes for being here is to also help you look at what can you do with support and partnership from us and others in Bangladesh to help the youth of this country get employment and also become entrepreneurs. And we have developed with the support of our advisor team, and Deb is here to tell you a little bit about that, the 4 pillars that we've identified that can help, I think, really make that transformation. It can't happen with one, just with the university, it can't happen just by students, but it really takes a family, it takes a community to support one another in this opportunity. So Deb, you mind taking over from here? We've diverted a little bit from the plan, but I think just talking at this point would make more sense. So over to you.
Thanks, Tony. Good morning, everybody. My name is Dev Datta, and as you can make out from my name, I can speak Bengali. So I can understand everything that you say. So please say good things about us. Okay. It's a pleasure for me to be amongst you because you are the backbone of the company, the business owners, entrepreneurs, whatever you're called. But you are the ones who create employment, you're doing value creation, you're creating products and services, and you're driving a large part of the GDP of this country. So it's an immense pleasure for me to be here because I have been an employee and I've also been an entrepreneur. So I've done both. But one of the things that I realized is that to be a successful employee, you have to be an entrepreneur, even if you're an employee. You cannot look at what you do as just a job that fills the time between 9 to 6. You have to look at the company that you're employed as your own company. And the ones who do that end up not only being the most successful employees, but they also go on to become entrepreneurs. Like many of you, I'm surely have been. I'm sure all of you did not start your life being a businessman. You started as employees and then wanted to do something on your own and had the confidence of doing that. So we came to Bangladesh day before yesterday. We started our meetings yesterday. And like Ernie said, I'm really very enthused by the response that I've got from the different people and the different groups that we have met through yesterday and today. Now, as you see, this workshop is about crisis and opportunity, or opportunity and crisis. You see, in my opinion, or our consolidated opinion, crisis is not a situation, it's an outcome, right? Crisis happens because of certain things that have been happening in the past. It's not something that is happening today that leads to a crisis today. It's like a disease that builds over a period of time and then starts to show up. But fortunately, like every dark cloud has a silver lining, when you have a crisis, you also have certain opportunities. And if you can take advantage of those opportunities, tomorrow's outcome can be very different and can be a lot more positive than what it is today. So, to make that happen, yesterday we were talking to the students of Dhaka University, and it was a wonderful session. And one of the things that I spoke about is there's only one thing that we should really focus on, things that we can control. Very often we get sidelined, we get distracted and start thinking about things that we cannot control. I cannot control the weather, I cannot control the traffic outside, but I can definitely control things that I can do that in my own way can make the difference to myself and the people around me. And once we understand and focus on things that we can control, differences start to happen. And when many of these differences happen, you have a totally different outcome, not today, not in 6 months, maybe a year, maybe 2 years, maybe 5 years down the line. I was in Bangladesh in 1997. And in these 18 years, I didn't come in between, but in this 18 years, obviously, Bangladesh has gone through a lot of transformation, good and bad, and all the good things, and I like to focus on the good things, have happened because of good actions that have been taken. What I'm seeing are the outcomes. So today you have 160 million people, you've got a significant population, you've got a GDP that is growing at 6%, and you've got 60% of your population in the form of youth. And where there's youth, the infinite possibilities are present on the table. So it's like cooking biryani, right? Biryani is the outcome, it requires ingredients. And to make a successful economy, you need two ingredients. You need good employees and you need good employers. So yesterday, we had the privilege of talking to people who can be great employees and great entrepreneurs in the future. Today, we are privileged to talk to the employer community who can contribute to that part of the reality. So like I said, it's an extremely important session for us, and thank you so much for giving us the time. So now, when we talk about you as a community, I want to be very clear, and it's something that Ernie also mentioned, that we are not the seers from the mountains. We don't know everything. Yes, we have gone and served some of the most successful organizations around the world, that like Ernie mentioned. We have set up and built businesses in different parts of the world. We have worked with extremely smart people and we have learned from them. But we don't understand fully your environment, and we will never do. So what is needed is a partnership between yourselves and ourselves to go through the 4 pillars, which I'm going to talk to you in a moment, and solve the problem jointly. And probably we'll have different models of solving each of those areas. But what I want to drive at is that this is not something that we know 100% end to end. This is something that we will get to know progressively when you and us work together. And you give us an opportunity to do that, just like my friend Dr. Ashif mentioned. So what are the 4 pillars? The 4 pillars are awareness, education, evolution, and finally, where the rubber meets the road, employability and entrepreneurship. So those are the 4 pillars. Awareness is what I mentioned earlier on. We don't know everything, we need to learn. And you don't know everything and you need to learn, and we need to get together and understand what the baseline is. So workshops like this are a great way for us to be aware. And we are saying our part. There is a segment where there will be an open discussion session, and I look forward to hearing a lot from you so that we can seal in the awareness. And we'd love to have ongoing conversations in this area. So that's to set the baseline. Education, I'll skip because Ernie spoke a lot, but I just want to underline that we are talking about educating ourselves, the students, the employers, and the other stakeholders who can work together to change the future of Bangladesh. So that's what we mean by education, and we've got different modules to make that happen. There's one set for students that we shared with the students at Dhaka University yesterday. There is a set of modules that Ernie alluded to when he spoke about organizations and how we can serve them. So there's a separate set of modules. And there are other things that we can cook and bake and design depending on what is needed. But after that comes evolution. Yesterday with the university students, we spoke very passionately about the fact that we need to involve the students in business environments even before they appear for their first interview. In other words, I'm talking about internship. By putting students, university students into functional areas as interns in organizations or companies in Bangladesh, we will be serving 2 very key purposes. One is we prepare the students for a future professional life. We prepare them on what life inside an office is like. On the other hand, we prepare yourselves, your organizations, to take in the employees of the future. Now, you don't have to give them big responsibilities. I told them yesterday that they might be tea boys and tea girls. You know, they might be serving tea, but they learn something. My daughter's first job was being a tea girl in a company that I was running. And she learned a lot from what by just taking tea into the meeting rooms, and they let her sit around for a bit, right? Because she was my daughter, she got to sit around. She learned. And those things, she even talks about those things today. So by getting these university students while they're studying, getting them into your offices, and getting them exposed to your work is a huge benefit for them. But what is the benefit for you? I love being surrounded by 18-year-olds and 19-year-olds and 20 and 21-year-olds. You know why? I like surrounded by them because they talk of things, they talk of ideas that I could never think of. They make me young. They make me more efficient. And you know what? They are a lot braver than us. They are a lot more forthcoming and open than us. And you will get ideas from them that you would be very, very surprised with. So this is one thing that we want to drive. We want to drive more internship and participation of students in businesses. And we really request you all to come together in this initiative of opening your doors to take in students as interns. Both sides will benefit. And you know, if you want me to be really honest with you, I will go to the extent of saying that you will benefit more than the students. Just in the form of ideas and concepts and new things that you and your organization will learn. And this is not an overstatement. So that's the evolution process. And we also want to co-create content and methodology that is going to help your executives to open up their windows of their mind. And Ernie gave many different examples, and we can talk about this all day with some of the most productive organizations in the world. We have done this. And by going through an iterative process, executives have incrementally grown in the roles that they do. So the key word is help. You can help us and we can help you to make this the model, the operating environment, the operating style a lot more flexible and a lot more effective. And the fourth piece, the fourth pillar is, like I said, employment and employability. Now, when we talk about employment and employability, one thing is we will obviously be able to provide you, as we progress with Dhaka University and other universities, to give you a set of youth who are trained to the LIM standard. We promise you that. In other words, what that will mean is that a student will demonstrate capabilities 1, 2, 3, 4 to 10 capabilities that we will absolutely guarantee. Now these capabilities will be applicable in irrespective of whether they are in the finance department or the sales department, or they are in the human resource department or manufacturing. Because what we are going to teach them are soft skills. That's what we excel in. We are building skills, and we've got tons and tons of content and methodology to make this happen. So we are 100% confident. And we are talking about things like time management, communication, working across cross-functional teams, how to manage under difficult circumstances, how to grow within the organization. Things like this which no business school teaches today. Call it finishing school. That's the part that we're talking about. So once we give you people with these skills, plus other skills in other functional areas, then the point is, how do we employ them? Because all of this is useless unless we can put salaries into their pockets. And that's where the problem is today. Today, amongst where the national unemployment is 5%, the unemployment among graduates is 45%. It is a big problem. So it's not only about educating these people, but it's also about putting money on their inside their pocket in the form of salaries that they can go and buy food and medication and other essentials and consumables for their family, to get their children educated, right? To be able to invest something, right? That's how you transform the youth. And therefore, it requires new opportunity creation, new job creation that leads them to get monies in their pocket. So we are working with several partners of ours with whom we have had successful projects in different countries in the world. And we want to bring these partners and their products into Bangladesh. And these partners and products are in areas that are important to Bangladesh and have been designated by the government of Bangladesh as focus areas. And I named them. They're ICT, BPO, KPO, healthcare, infrastructure, hospitality, tourism, financial products. So there are 4 or 5 different areas where leading organizations in these specific spaces are looking at global expansion, and Bangladesh is a lucrative market for them. So that's their interest. But they are not going to come into this market unless there is a partner who's capable and competent on the ground. So we are seeking those partners from organizations such as you. So if any of you are interested in areas of this nature, ICT, KPO, BPO, healthcare, infrastructure, hospitality, tourism, and financial services, we've got partners that we can start conversations with you. So think about it this way. The reason we explain the 4 pillars is we want there to be awareness, we want education to transform the youth and to help transform your organization where you think is right. We want evolution of mixing the student population and the business community on a more regular basis. And finally, employability and entrepreneurship so that actual employment happens. And we are very, very happy to take a role in each of these segments. We've prepared for this, but we can't do it without your support. So that's the overall objective of LIM Global, and we are doing it through these modules that we have placed in front of you. So thank you again for your time. I look forward to other conversations, but hopefully this message is through to you, and we will be happy to help you and support you in these endeavors as you deem it fit. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Taib and Mr. Arni. Honorable guest, may I now request Professor Dr. Muhammad Mohideen, Department of Management, University of Dhaka, to make his valuable comments on the keynote paper.
Good afternoon. I'm Muhammad Mohideen, working at University as you have heard. So LIM Global will work in collaboration with our partnership in Bangladesh. And in that partnership, I am here. So what we would like to project in this workshop, and we would like to get your help that we shall prepare our young graduates in such a way so that they will best fit with your environment. So in Bangladesh, we are giving education, no doubt, but a large number of students do not fit with their earned knowledge and the knowledge which is demanded into business environment. So that we would like to project that how to accommodate by giving a special multi-scaling to those graduates so that they will fit with your environment. You may observe that job advertisements are given by you people mentioning particular disciplines like business, economics, statistics, this and that. What about other great number of students who are having the degrees? Where will they work? So, we are the people of Bangladesh, we must have concern. The arts graduates, the social science graduates, science graduates, why will they work? How will they fit their knowledge with the real world situation? So with that, with this intention to best fit them, Live Global will work in Bangladesh by providing necessary training in this particular area of multi-skill as well as entrepreneurship development. So they are successful in different countries and we hope they will equally be successful here if you people extend your cooperation to develop collaboratively the curriculum or the in the contents of the training that the general graduates may have and may fit with your situation. That is to increase employability of the graduates. So in that situation, I think that Lean Global will work best here. So thank you very, very much. If you have any question, then you will come to discuss and we can discuss it too in order to develop our collaborative ideas. Thank you very much.
And may I request DCCI Vice President, Senior Vice President, Mr. Human Rashid to moderate the session.
Thank you. The crisis creates opportunity. Today, as you know, that we have a lot of traffic in the streets, so everybody delayed to reach here, right here. It is a crisis. From that crisis, there's an opportunity is coming that we are expecting metro rail, expressway. So that is we have to look into. We have about 3 million people, young kids are coming in the job market today. Out of that, 2 million is getting job, 1 million is not getting the job. We have to find that why they're not getting job. Only one way we can create more job if we can educate them properly based on need-based education. System process comes in the education process. I understand that everybody is waiting to ask questions and please, I will appreciate if you can identify yourself and ask the questions. Brief questions, not very long introductions or questions. And you can introduce yourself and you can ask the questions. Haji Salam is the director of Dhaka Chamber.
Thank you, our chief guest, Mr. Khalid Hussain, President Dhaka Chamber of Commerce and Industry. My speech will be in Bangla so that I can ask you, bhai. আপনি বলেছেন এবং আপনার কথা আমাদের কাছে খুব ভালো লেগেছে। ঢাকা চেম্বার আসছেন তার জন্য অসংখ্য ধন্যবাদ এবং আপনার টিমকে নিয়ে সবাইকে নিয়ে আসছেন তার জন্য ধন্যবাদ। একটা জিনিস জানার খুব আগ্রহ লাগতেছে যে লিমের যে অ্যাক্টিভিটিজের মধ্যে এটা যে একটা ফাইন্যান্সিয়াল একটা দিক আছে, আপনি আমাকে সার্ভিস দেবেন এর জন্য ফাইন্যান্সিয়াল কোনো কি আপনার প্রসেসটা এটা আমাদের চালাতে
ধন্যবাদ সালাম ভাই। এটাকে আমরা যদি মূলত এটা কাস্টমাইজ নিড বেস আপনার অর্গানাইজেশনের সাথে বা আপনাদের অর্গানাইজেশনের সাথে যে কাজগুলো করা হবে সেই কাজের আউটকামের উপরে কিন্তু এই ফাইন্যান্সিয়াল মডেলটা ডিপেন্ড করবে। এটা কিন্তু কাস্টমাইজ এবং ইন্ডিভিজুয়াল ডিসকাশন, অর্গানাইজার ডিসকাশনের মধ্যে ফ্ল্যাট কোনো রেট নাই যে এই কাজের জন্য ফ্ল্যাট একটা রেট। থ্যাংক ইউ। জি
employees and the entrepreneurs as well the employers. So we are not actually prepared to get trained because we believe we are trained enough. Actually we are not. thanks for the idea. But when you talk about the internship in our organization, my experience, by the way, I am a part-time professor at Daffodil University and private university. I teach entrepreneurship development there. And as well as a small employer as well. And, so the gap between the students and the employers for the candidates for the job is far away. Both of them are far away. So it's a good idea to train the both employer and entrepreneurs and the prospective employees. It's require a total overhauling of our education system, because what they learn for 5 years, 4 years in university, and suddenly they get a totally different atmosphere in practical field. So I think okay, well, your training is okay enough where it will reach people to some extent, but do you think, I don't, it's not relevant maybe, but my focus is that I was thinking that the education system in this developing country is totally different from the practical situation. That's my opinion.
So, no right answers on this, unfortunately. But, like I said earlier on, there are things you can control and there are things you can't control. And I think you are in a fabulous position to drive that first change, because you are teaching entrepreneurship. You're teaching entrepreneurship. You have, is that university owned by you or college owned by you? So you're teaching that, and then you've got a business. So you are in a phenomenal vantage point to go and try it out. Now, I totally agree with you that it's far away today. You take a child, right, and you undress the child and throw them in the snow. They're going to catch a cold and probably die of pneumonia, right? But if you start taking one layer off and have some clothing on and start taking the child out for 5 minutes every day, gradually his resistance is going to grow. As he goes 5 minutes to 10 minutes out in the snow, his resistance is going to grow. That's what we are talking about. Now, we are pragmatic in saying, I totally agree with you that a graduate today is not ready to go into the workplace, but that is where he's going to end up. So it's better to prepare him when he's in the second year, or her when he's in the second year, by sending them for a little while, third year a little while. You think in the 5th year they'll be a lot more readier than if you didn't do it. And think about if everybody takes 5 interns, probably those 5 will be the best hires for them at the end of 5 years. Right? So it starts with a small thing that you can control. And slowly you'll see, you will get the benefit, then other organizations will see, oh, you're benefiting from it, let me also try it. And slowly it builds into a tsunami or something, right? That's when change happens.
Please.
এখানে আমার একটা কিন্তু অবজারভেশন আছে, গত 5 বছর ধরে আমি কিন্তু ইয়াংদের নিয়ে কাজ করি। তাদের বেসিক মাইন্ডসেটটা হচ্ছে যে আমরা কি করব এটা বুঝতে পারছি না। এই কি করব সব জিনিসটা যদি আমরা একটু মেনশনিং করি, তারা কিন্তু দেখা যাবে যে প্রচুর ওয়ার্কেবল হয়ে যাবে, তারা নিজেই কিন্তু অনেক কিছু জানে, কিন্তু লাইফটা খুঁজে পাচ্ছে না, রাস্তাটা খুঁজে পাচ্ছে না। এইটুকুই শুধু নেওয়ার আছে। থ্যাংক ইউ।
Questions on that?
Dcci Business Institute was established in 1991 with the purpose of developing business executives and entrepreneurs with appropriate attitude, knowledge and skills. So far, we have created about 15,000 alumni. At present, we are convinced that old solutions cannot solve our current problems and future problems. So, our business people, executives and entrepreneurs must be forward-looking and with global thinking. Now we are giving short courses, about 80 short courses of 3 and 2 days. And we are also giving a modular learning system in supply chain management diploma and certificate in cooperation with International Trade Center Geneva, which is the executing agency of United Nations and WTO. I wonder if there is any possibility of cooperation between Dcci Business Institute and Lean Global in the development of leadership, entrepreneurship, and skilled business professionals. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Definitely, my name is Abdul Haq. I'm the Director of Federation of the Chamber of Commerce Industry. My business is motor vehicles. Actually, I think it should have been for my academic interest. If the presentation was presented and it was here, would have been much more beneficial for us. Many people today could understand further. But as a whole, I mean, there is no disagreement about the education that not only Bangladesh, the 28th March issue of The Economist, as it is said, the world famous economist, the whole world is going to university. Is it worth it? A very special report, 28th March. It's a wonderful report. And what you are saying, it is there in many of the pages. I was just going through. There is no disagreement that the global education system itself is, many of the developed countries are also thinking to change. Not to mention about Bangladesh that we are having, as Mr. Rashid was mentioning about the population bonus. That is not going to last for long. Maybe we have a period of 10 to 15 years to take benefit of population bonus. But the question is, are we really prepared for that? I mean, the country itself is a big question to the government, the policymakers. But all of us here in this round table are entrepreneurs. Many of us learn from the experience of life, and we're struggling. We have come to this stage by learning from the experience of life. But I can suggest that when I suggested Mr. Asif to come to Dhaka Chamber, because I thought Dhaka Chamber is having the infrastructure and the leadership, they can really appreciate this. If there is anything we can contribute for the benefit of the business, or for the country, even for to take it to the higher level of the policy formulation, Dhaka Chamber really can do it. So I personally, perhaps I just wanted to know further that as I understand from the statement, the Lean is not a charity, rather a company. And in that case, how you are going to meet your resources, I mean revenues, for example. Or the proposal made by Mr. Hansana now could be a very good idea. If you want to really do any project in Bangladesh, Dcci could be the best place to initiate it, because they are doing it almost non-profit. And they have all the infrastructures, and they are clear about this mission they are already doing for last many years. Now, as a small businessman, I would humbly suggest that the serious crisis of Bangladesh education is lacking of a, basic education. Why China could do, why India could not. One of the statements I have seen, one of the issue of economists, the 700,000 graduates, engineering graduates comes every year in India. Out of them, the survey says only 3% are directly employed. But in China it was different. Because China has gone to very serious emphasis on basic education. And therefore the revolution took place in our time, which is like a monster. Once up in drunken people now emerged as a monster-like powerhouse, economic powerhouse. The sickest, maybe ultimately the university will teach how China could come to this stage today. But I think by seeing the Japanese philosophy of education, when they have about 150 years ago, during the Meiji Restoration, they say reading, writing, and counting. One, if somebody is giving birth to a child, he must give his child to the school, otherwise he will be imprisoned. From there, only in 150 years Japan could emerge to a top country of the world. I mean, almost from scratch. The time they started, Europe already was a industrially developed country. So for Bangladesh sort of country, that we, all the people sitting here, most of many of our seniors are there, I think it's a time that we should, Bangladesh needs a serious reformation of their education. There is no disagreement. How it could be done at the primary school level or for that matter, high school level, now government is thinking to make the schools up to 12th class. But what we are teaching, are these really demand of the market? Are there market for these graduates? Or are we really spoiling the graduates? Precise the population bonus as we are saying. Or many of them we are just sending with a school or college degree to the Middle East for becoming an unskilled workforce. So there is a serious crisis for Bangladesh, as I can see, as a humble observer from the experience of life. So with your vast experience, global idea, global experience, you can suggest us from the private sector what I can do. But you also should suggest government. I mean, through Dhaka Chamber, we can even organize, say to the government, the respective ministers, so that it is going for the national policy evaluation or policy analysis or policy formulation. Thank you very much.
I'm the director of Dcci. I'm also the director in charge of the ICT Standing Committee. I've got an ICT company which deals with education and training and software, and I'm a chartered accountant. Well, I think LIM is a great initiative. But I mean, the pain of Bangladesh we've got too many leaders, and we need, leader. And I think, there are many issues that's coming to my mind. And I think the one thing I would like to harp on is, do you actually help create environment which enables good, which attracts good people, and also enables them to be with continued employment? Because that is one of the problems with our ICT organizations, our Bangladeshi organizations. The crisis could be a great opportunity to rehash the management, so that the management excels and does create an environment in which the good and the meritorious are attracted and also are encouraged to stay. That is what we really need. Of course, the youth is there. The youth is there, but the youth has to be skilled, youth has to have ethical values, youth has to have commitment, the youth has to have all the good qualities to make the youth work for us. So, your great initiative, but what is needed in Bangladesh is to have this management paradigm shift in which we actually think about creating environments in which good are attracted to come and stay. That will be the panacea for the Bangladeshi problems. Thank you.
The question of the first person, could we partner with you in terms of what you're doing already with entrepreneurship and the short courses that you have? And the simple answer is yes. We would love to talk to you more about what you're doing. I'm making the assumption that there are a lot of good things happening here, and collectively, as you share your own wisdom and experience with one another, there's a lot you can do, with or without us. So if we could talk to you a little bit later, we would love to hear more what you're doing, share what we're thinking about to see if there's a potential partnership. Let me just respond to the last question, then I'll let you respond. I think you're absolutely right, the gentleman who just spoke, that fish swim from the head first, not tail first. And so if the leader in an organization, be it the CEO, the president, or whatever the leadership role is, if that individual has a belief that there could be a paradigm shift that begins with him and her and starts opening the space for people to speak up. I think that's the work that we're in, and the work that you're in is how can we hear everybody's voice and create a safe environment for people to say what they're thinking, even though it may be different from what I think. And that's the real key to success. So That's the work that we do. We find those simple ways of helping shared leadership come to life. I recently wrote a book called Gentle Interventions, little things that make a big difference for leaders who are really interested in empowering not only themselves but their teams. Empowerment goes both ways. And so definitely that's the key. If we can have a paradigm shift in the thinking of leadership, that it's not top down, that it's really shared leadership and understanding what that means, a lot can happen. You want to build on either of those?
Yeah, to answer the second question, because ICT is close to my heart. I come from the technology industry myself. So you have, I think, a very challenging environment. I totally empathize with you because it's usually populated by young people who've got a mind of their own. It's an industry that is moving and transforming at light speed, whether we like it or not. And all your employees have options. Because if they have the right skills, there are global markets where they can trade their skills and migrate. So it's very important and that's why ICT, KPO, BPO is a key focus area for us. We also see a good growth opportunity here. Now, as Ernie mentioned earlier on, we've got certain offerings at organizations, not only at students, to prepare the organizations to take the employees of tomorrow, or even take the employees of today through the internship program that I mentioned. If you keep doing the same thing over and over again, you get the same result. So if we find organizations, or if there are organizations amongst yourself who are willing to give it a shot, to introspectively look at yourselves, and then help us work with you to co-create something that you are going to absolutely endorse and adopt within your organization, we are more than happy, and we've got modules to be able to do that. But I keep repeating myself on that because I really believe in it. Yes, you have to change yourself from inside, but you'd be surprised how much of change comes from the outside, from the people that you bring into the organization. But I agree with what you said, that you need to have the right leadership, thinking in the right way for all that change to happen. So, and we'll be more than happy to participate with you in that.
আমি একটু হকভের বিষয়টাকে একটু উত্তর দিই। হকভের সাথে আমার লম্বা আলোচনা হচ্ছে, ওনার প্রতি আমার কৃতজ্ঞতা, ডিসিসিকে পরিচিত করে দেওয়ার কথা। বেসিক এডুকেশন নিয়ে আমাদের আরেকটা গ্রুপ কিন্তু 10 বছর ধরে আমরা কাজ করছি, এবং এটা সাউথ ইস্ট এশিয়ান কান্ট্রিজের কিন্তু আমরা কাজ করছি 10 বছর ধরে সাকসেসফুলি। আমরা সিঙ্গাপুর, মালয়েশিয়া, ব্রুনাই, ইন্দোনেশিয়া, এই 4টা দেশে আমরা কাজ করেছি যে বেসিক এডুকেশনটাকে কিভাবে রিয়েলি ইফেক্টিভ করা যায়। ইফেক্টিভ এই শব্দটা, যে যারা পরবর্তীতে প্রফেশনাল লাইফে মোর ম্যাচিওর কাজ করবে, এবং এখানে আমার হিউজ রিসোর্স পার্সনরা কাজ করছে মালয়েশিয়া বেসে। এ ব্যাপারে আপনারা যদি কোনো রকম ইন্টারেস্ট শো করেন, তাহলে কিভাবে এটাকে চেঞ্জ করা যায়, যে 7 থেকে 19 বছরের বাচ্চারা বা ছেলেরা, যুবকরা কিভাবে বেসিক এডুকেশনের মাধ্যমে নিজেকে স্পিরিটেড করতে পারে, ইফেক্টিভ করতে পারে, নিজেদেরটা নিজে বুঝতে হবে। আমাদের প্রবলেমটা হচ্ছে আমরা ফিডিং করি, আমাদের হোল জাতি একটা ফিডিং করছে, বাবা মা ফিডিং করছে, ফলে কিন্তু আমি সবসময় বলি আমরা একটা বামন জাতিতে রূপান্তরিত হচ্ছি। কিন্তু আমাদের ওই 10 বছরের গবেষণার যে ফসল, আমরা কিন্তু একটা স্ট্রাকচার দাঁড় করিয়েছি, সাকসেসফুলি আমরা কিন্তু এগুলোকে কাজ করছি বিভিন্ন স্কুলে, ইউনিভার্সিটিতে। আমি গত অক্টোবরে মালয়েশিয়ার 2টো ইউনিভার্সিটিতে কিন্তু আমরা কাজ করে এসেছি, এবং দে লাভ টু গেট দিস অপরচুনিটি, যে রাইট, যে একটা ছেলে একদিনের ওয়ার্কশপে কিভাবে চেঞ্জ হয়ে সে পরবর্তীতে পড়াশোনাতে মন দেবে, তার বাবা মার প্রতি মন দেবে, বিহেভিয়ারাল স্ট্র্যাটেজির মধ্যে কাজ করবে। এটা নিয়ে আমাদের কিন্তু বড় রকমের গবেষণা আছে, এবং এটা আমরা 10 বছর ধরে করছি আশির মধ্যে দেশগুলোতে। ধন্যবাদ।
ডাইরেক্টর হায়দার সাহেব, আপনি বলবেন আমি জানি। চেম্বার অফ কমার্সের সাথে আমাদের এখানে একটা মিটিং হয়েছিল। On that, Philippines Chamber of Commerce, they presented that about 4 billion Filipino works in overseas. They are the remittance of about $24 billion. Bangladesh, about 16 million people, Bangladeshi people who work overseas, send $12 billion. Why? The answer is that we need to address, we need to know where is the value additions. So, Mr. Haider, that's your turn.
থ্যাংক ইউ। যে আমি জাস্ট এইমাত্র ডক্টর শেখ আহমেদ সাহেবের বক্তব্যের প্রেক্ষিতে আমার একটা আগ্রহ আসলো। আমি আমার আজকের সভাপতি বলছেন আমাকে ডাইরেক্টর, বেসিক্যালি আমি এক্স ডাইরেক্টর, বর্তমান না, কিছুদিন আগে ছিলাম এবং সিনিয়র ভাইস প্রেসিডেন্ট ছিলাম ঢাকাতে পারে। যে আমার একটা পার্সোনাল এক্সপিরিয়েন্স আপনার সাথে শেয়ার করতে চাই, প্লাস এটার প্রেক্ষিতে আপনি কিভাবে আমাকে সাহায্য করতে পারেন কিনা সেটার জন্য। আমি আমার এলাকায় 15টা ইউনিয়নে সমস্ত প্রাইমারি স্কুলে কাজ করি, ফর্মালি কাজ করি 2005 সাল থেকে, আর ইনফর্মাল আমার কাজ আরম্ভ হয় 1996 থেকে। আচ্ছা, আমি আমার এক্সপিরিয়েন্স শেয়ার করছি। 15টা ইউনিয়নে প্রাইমারি স্কুল আছে 216টা। 216টা স্কুলে আমি বাংলায় বলছি, যেহেতু আমি অ্যাড্রেস করতেছি আপনাকে। আচ্ছা, যে 216টা স্কুলে 3, 4, 5-এ আমি প্রতি বছর একটা কম্পিটিটিভ পরীক্ষা দিই এবং স্কুল কারিকুলামের উপর বেসিস করে 100 মার্কের। সেটার উপর আমার একটা এনজিও আছে, সেই এনজিওটা 100% ফান্ডেড বাই ওন, নো ডোনেশন। আচ্ছা, সেই এনজিওর মাধ্যমে এই কাজটা হয়, যে এনজিওটা রেজিস্টার এবং থানা প্রাইমারি এস্টাবলিশমেন্ট যা আছে তার সাথেই মেস করে আমার কাজটা হয়। সেই 216টা স্কুল থেকে এই বছর আমার 3, 4, 5-এর পরীক্ষায়, কম্পিটিটিভ পরীক্ষা যেটা অ্যানুয়াল পরীক্ষা হয়ে গেছে গত ডিসেম্বরের 20 তারিখে, সেখানে মাত্র 3000-এর মতো ছেলে মেয়ে পার্টিসিপেট করছে, যেটা খুবই অ্যাট্রাকটিভ এবং ছেলে মেয়েদের ভিতরে প্রচুর আগ্রহ আছে যে পরীক্ষায় পার্টিসিপেশনের জন্য কোনো রেজিস্ট্রেশন ফি নাই এবং কোনো লিমিটেশন নাই। প্র্যাকটিক্যালি আমার এক্সপিরিয়েন্স হলো, এই রেজাল্ট হলো, এই 3000 ছেলে মেয়ের পাশের হার হলো 94%। তার মানে 6% ফেল করছে আউট অফ 3000। আর এই 216টা স্কুলে আমার ওই 3 ক্লাসে ছাত্র আছে। আমার গভর্নমেন্টের স্ট্যাটিস্টিক্সটা যদি আমি ধরেও নিই কারেক্ট, তাহলে 24000 ছেলে মেয়ে আছে। বাকিগুলা টিচার, রেসপেক্টিভ স্কুলের টিচাররা পাঠাইলে পরে স্বাভাবিকভাবেই ফেল করবে সেই কারণে। আচ্ছা, সেই স্ট্যাটিস্টিক্স থেকে দেখা যায় যে পাশের হার 20% হার্ডলি এভারেজে, কিন্তু গভর্নমেন্ট স্ট্যাটিস্টিক্সে পাশের হার হলো 90%। আপনি যে কথাটা একটু আগে বললেন বেসিক এডুকেশন বলতে আমি এটাকেই মিন করি। আপনি 7 থেকে 10 প্রাইমারি স্কুলের এডুকেশন। এই যে আমার এলাকার এডুকেশনের বাংলাদেশের ডিস্ট্রিক্ট র্যাঙ্কিং আছে, আপনি হয়তো জানেন 64টা ডিস্ট্রিক্টের প্রাইমারি এডুকেশনের পার্সেন্টেজে 64টা ডিস্ট্রিক্টের র্যাঙ্কিং। আমার নেত্রকোনা ডিস্ট্রিক্টের র্যাঙ্কিং, আমি নেত্রকোনা ডিস্ট্রিক্টের লোক, আমার নেত্রকোনা ডিস্ট্রিক্টের র্যাঙ্কিং হলো 62। মানে 2টা ডিস্ট্রিক্টের এডুকেশনের আমাদের চেয়ে খারাপ। আর আমার ডিস্ট্রিক্টের এডুকেশনের পার্সেন্টেজ হলো 34%। গভর্নমেন্ট কি বলে আমি জানি যে এই 34%-এর অবস্থায় এই হলো আমার অবস্থান। আমি আমার এলাকার লোকজন একটু গরিব, তারা এডুকেশনে ইনভেস্ট করতে পারে না। যেমন আজকেও একটা প্রোগ্রাম আছে আমার স্কুলে, গার্জিয়ানদেরকে নিয়ে আমি একটা প্রোগ্রাম করতেছি, কিন্তু আমি যেতে পারিনি। আর সেই প্রোগ্রামে আমি 2টা স্কুলে সপ্তাহে 1 দিন করে খাবার সাপ্লাই দিই। যে 2টা স্কুলে আমি খাবার সাপ্লাই দিই, সেই 2টা স্কুলের পার্সেন্টেজ এবং এডুকেশন একটু ইমপ্রুভ করছে। 2টা স্কুল আমার গ্রামে, যে স্কুলে আমি ছাত্র আর যে স্কুলটা আমি প্রতিষ্ঠা করছি, 2টা স্কুলে আমি সপ্তাহে 1 দিন করে খাবার সাপ্লাই দিই। আমি ওইখান যাব। এই অবস্থার প্রেক্ষিতে অ্যাজ এ হোল এডুকেশনটা অ্যাবনর্মালি খারাপ আমার এলাকায়। আমার অ্যাপ্রোচ টু ইউ, আপনারা যেহেতু প্রায় বেসিক এডুকেশনে কিছু কাজ করেন, আপনি এই এলাকার এই জনগোষ্ঠীর জন্য কিছু করতে পারেন কিনা? ধন্যবাদ।
বেয়াদবি না দিলে আমি মনে হয় লাঞ্চের পরে আপনার সাথে নিয়ে আলোচনা করব। থ্যাংক ইউ।
Thank you very much. I'm the former Senior Vice President of the Dhaka Chamber of Commerce and Industry, as well as the General Member of this esteemed organization. Welcome Erin Tana to Bangladesh. He's from Florida. It's very similar weather to Florida and Bangladesh. I've been there. Thank you very much. And Mr. Dr. Asif ke আমি বহুদিন জানি, মিশনারি মানুষ। আজকে উনি যে কথাগুলো নিয়ে আসছেন আমরা বোধহয় টিউনিংটা করতে পারছি না ওনাদের চাহিদার সাথে, আমার কাছে যেটুকু মনে হচ্ছে। লিম গ্লোবাল ইজ এ কনসাল্টিং ফার্ম, একটা অর্গানাইজেশন ট্যালেন্ট সার্ভিসগুলো প্রোভাইড করে থাকেন। আমরা যেগুলো আশা করছি আমার মনে হয় যে আমরা কিন্তু আপনাদের কাছ থেকে কোনো রকমের চ্যারিটিস আশা করতে পারছি না, এইটার মধ্যে নেই আপনার। ইটস এ পিওরলি বিজনেস অর্গানাইজেশন, কনসাল্টিং ফার্ম। টেকনিক্যালি ফাইন টিউনিং গুলো করতে পারেন আপনারা। আই থিঙ্ক দি র গ্রাজুয়েটস ক্যান বি টার্ন ইনটু এ বেস্ট ওয়ান অর দি ফাইন টিউন উইথ দ্য ইন্টারন্যাশনাল ব্র্যান্ডিং। এইটা বোধহয় আপনাদের কাছ থেকে আমাদের করা সম্ভব। তবে what I can say, the Dcci or the Dcci or other charity organization is better if you go to work with these umbrella organizations who have handling the corporates. In fact, Bangladesh corporates size is very limited, you know. Most of the corporates in Bangladesh is the family initiative, not like the corporates like America or the European countries. We are very new in the corporates. Some of them are very prominent, but the size is very limited. So this branding, if you go for training like this, the Dcci Institute, ED mentioned by this time, if we can go for a partnership with this, what we did in the 15,000 alumni already prepared by the Dcci Institute, can we give them a new dimension with the world-class training, like we are providing 2 days, 3 days, 3 days, or 7 days, or 3 weeks, or a diploma. Can we do it like that? With your vision, the Dcci Institute and the LIM Global will make a joint partnership with a win-win situation. I know you are not charity, we cannot provide you the faculties free of cost. But can we make it as a proposal, like the Dcci Institute and LIMCO Global can provide a quality approach to the government organization or the international organizations to provide the financial support for this capacity building of the Bangladeshi graduates to go to the job market in home and abroad. You know, about 9 million Bangladeshis living abroad. They're sending 15 billion US dollar. We are the top 10 remittance recipient country. Now we are 7. And we hope, the Philippines mentioned by the Senior Vice President, Philippines is a bit higher because of their technology and their training. We are sending the raw people. If we go to the grassroots level, in the rural area, can you provide them in the the trade course, like 3 months, 1 month? This type of model, can we develop that with the LIM idea? Thank you very much.
We are expecting questions from Mr. Lal, former director.
Most of my topics has been finished by Sakil Chaudhary. I just give a suggestion that I asked LIM if possible to work with Dcci Business Institute, because LIM is training the people, coaching the people, developing the skills of the business people, and I think this from the project they have thrown to me, it has come. It is clear to me that they want to develop the skills of the new coming students and bring them to the business field, and already in the entrepreneurs working in the business, to the employees working with the business firms to develop their knowledge. So it is Dcci Institute theme also the same. So I suggest LIM to work together with the Dcci Business Institute. It will be better for the LIM to develop the business community of Bangladesh. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. And we will accept only 2 questions. One question is from Khair Khan. This is the director of Dcci.
Thank you, Mr. President, for this session chairman. I welcome the LIM's leader and their assets too. আমি আপনাদের ধন্যবাদ জানাচ্ছি। বাংলাদেশের সর্বোচ্চ বিদ্যাপীঠের আপনারা শিক্ষক এবং এখান থেকে পৃথিবীর সবচেয়ে শক্তিধর রাষ্ট্রের থেকে এসছেন আমাদের এই লিমের চেয়ারম্যান। ওনাদের সমন্বয়ে আপনারা আমাদেরকে কি দিবেন আমাদের ট্রেনিং দিবেন এন্টারপ্রেনারশিপ ইত্যাদি আপনারা বলেছেন। এখানে দু একজন ভাষা বলেছেন, বলেছেন আমাদের দেশে যেটা সবচেয়ে বেশি ওয়ার্কফোর্সের মধ্যে, ইয়ুথদের মধ্যে আনএডুকেটেড পিপুল যেটা বেশি, তাদেরকে আমরা ওয়ার্কফোর্সের ভিতরে আনতে পারতেছি না। হাতে ধরে বাপ মা তাদেরকে পাঠিয়ে দেয় ফ্যাক্টরিতে, কিংবা তাদেরকে তাদের একটা সিনিয়র মেকানিক্সের কাছে পাঠিয়ে দেয়। সেই ওয়ার্কফোর্স দিয়ে আমাদের ফ্যাক্টরি, মিল, কলকারখানা চলছে। তাদের কোনো ভোকেশনাল ট্রেনিং এখানে নেই। তাদের আমাদের যা আছে খুবই সীমিত। সরকার যেগুলো করেছে সেগুলো এত ব্যয়বহুল যে সেখানে তারা হাতে কলমে শিক্ষা নিয়ে তারা জব মার্কেটে আসতে পারতেছে না। আমাদের দেশে একটা ভীষণ সামনে ভবিষ্যতে আমরা দেখতে পাচ্ছি যে আমাদের এখানে এখন টায়ার তৈরি হচ্ছে, দুই এক বছরের মধ্যে আমরা গাড়ি প্রস্তুত করতে যাচ্ছি, যেটা 8,000 কোটি টাকার থেকে 18,000 কোটি টাকার মার্কেট হবে। এবং আমাদের প্লাস্টিক ইন্ডাস্ট্রিগুলো অনেক প্রসার হয়েছে, সেইখানে কোনো ভালো মিড লেভেলের ট্রেনিং আপনার ওয়ার্কার নেই। এই ব্যাপারে যদি আপনার নেম আবার কোনো প্রোগ্রাম নিয়ে আসেন, ঢাকা চেম্বারকে ই করে, আমরা সেখানে আপনারা জানেন যে ধুলাইখাল ডিজিরা বলেন, আপনার বগুড়া বলেন, এরা কিন্তু এসএমই প্রোডাকশন অনেক এগিয়ে গেছে। আপনারা চেষ্টা করবেন তাদেরকে কিছু করা যায় কিনা। ধন্যবাদ, আমাকে সময় দেওয়ার জন্য।
আমরা কোয়েশ্চেনগুলো, we want very brief questions. Please, this is the last questions I'm accepting from Mr. Nisar Masud Khan, former Senior Vice President of Dcci. We are expecting question from media reporter, Mr. Sajjad Biplov, SATV.
So my question is shortly, already moderator or lot of speaker mentioned that every year more than 20 lakh students they are going to job market after finishing their study, and we have no lot space for their employment. So, and I think our specialists suggest that they have a policy for entrepreneur. So my question is that suppose I want to be entrepreneur, but I have no lot money, but I have some money, so I have already started business. So is it better for me to go bank for loan, or it's better for me to go slowly? First question is, second question is that if I want to loan from bank, they have some barrier. One is mortgage security, and second is interest rate. So nowadays more than 15% interest rate in our banking system. So is it possible for me as a small businessman to use this loan and get profit? Thank you.
This is last questions. Thank you. Please identify yourself.
Thank you. I'm Asajul Rahman. I'm convener of one chamber standing committee of Dhaka Chamber of Commerce. Just I remember the crocodile of Florida, Mr. Turner, as you are from Florida. So still it is in my mind about the crocodile part of the crocodile. So there are some my realization, and also there's some one question. As I just heard from our evaluate this talking and the presentation, that LIM will be more effective where the, more developed, more populated but less educated countries. Like Bangladesh was one of them, but now we're in the middle, not we're in the least educated, we're in the middle education, I think. So I think it will be better not only with the private institutions, also if you can make seminar or workshop, or if you can just give awareness to our governmental institute for this entrepreneurs train up, or for our general people train up. What you are looking for as the function of LIM Global, as I just learned from your profile. And my question, that's only one, would it be there any opportunity if I myself or my company or my own corporate office, they can face any crisis, can we get any help or any advice from you, LIM Group? Thank you very much.
The questions, we are not accepting any more questions, but this is the answer time, and this whole nation can get changed. Thank you.
A couple quick answers to the two gentlemen who were talking about partnership in terms of entrepreneurship. The answer is yes to both of you. I think the institute that you have, the business institute that you mentioned, it would be a wonderful time for us to talk, perhaps over lunch a little bit to learn more. We are not here to create a wheel. We're assuming there are a lot of good wheels here. But how can we work with you, bring what we know? We have a learning methodology that I think is very simple and very practical. There are 10 learning principles that we can introduce to you with some very practical concepts and tools that can bring those principles to life, that can really help teams work, help entrepreneurs work, help individuals work at any part of your organization. So the answer is yes to both of those questions. To the last gentleman, I'd love to hear from you over lunch again, what your crisis is, and be able maybe, we have another methodology called peer coaching, and it's called power coaching. How do we help peers in a very simple way find their ways out of crisis? And it may not be a solution, but will get you on your way. So perhaps there's a way that we can provide a little bit of support even in a conversation over lunch. In terms of right people, I think that's the opportunity that we have with universities to help them prepare students who could be right employees for you. We're also assuming that a lot of you are doing your own employee development and training right now. And this, I think, would be very interesting for the universities to hear what you are doing that they didn't do, so that in the future they can. And so I think that's part of the bridge, and the voice that you have collectively is to inform the education system at all levels. What's missing? What are you doing that seems to be working? Not necessarily what's best practice, but what's good practice. And we have some good practice, and I think collectively we can make a difference. I'll turn it over to you two in terms of the other questions.
Yeah. So just to answer your question, or give part of the answer, we can talk later on. That's exactly what internship will solve. I don't know what levels you have hiring challenges, but internship allows setting expectations on both sides, on the side of the employee and the side of the employer, what they are getting into and what they will get. And the earlier this process has started, the more fulfilling the results will be later down the line. And again, this is about creating a habit that drives an outcome down the line. Right? Nothing is going to change in one day, but it's the beginning of the change. So that's an area where I think there can be a lot of cooperation between us, the Chamber of Commerce, and respective members, so we can work a lot along this. I'm also interested, very nice to hear that you're in renewable energy and alternate energy. Clean tech is one of the great expansion points. It's great to know that I've met somebody who's doing that in Bangladesh. We've got some great ideas around that as well. Happy to share that. The other answer is to the gentleman at the end of the room who asked the question about where to go for loans, to a bank or to pay the interest. I won't answer the question directly, but I'll tell you something. I think it is okay to go and loan the money from the bank if you know what to do with it as an entrepreneur. One of the biggest challenges that I've seen in different countries, I'm not just talking about Bangladesh here, is that there is a tremendous amount of energy and enthusiasm inside an entrepreneur, but there is total lack or very low level of financial awareness among these people. So even when they raise venture capital funds, and I'm talking about even in a developed economies like the United States, or even in Hong Kong and Singapore, I see so many entrepreneurs who raised money but absolutely mismanaged it. They had a great idea on the basis of which they got the money, but they didn't know what to do with it, and the money was lost. And anyway, that's a part of the venture capital model. So, net-net, what we're talking about is every entrepreneur should be financially literate, right? You can't run a business unless you understand how money works. Right? And secondly, we were talking to a very senior gentleman from the financial industry in Bangladesh yesterday, and he agreed when we suggested that even bank officials who approve loans to businesses need to be entrepreneurially trained so that they can understand how entrepreneurship works, how different parts of the business works. A banker's job is not just to give a loan based on collaterals, because if you're giving it to the wrong guy, that collateral will disappear anyway, right? So it is in the interest of both the bank and the entrepreneur that both sides get educated. And again, together we can play a role to make that happen.
আমার মনে হয় এখানে আমরা দুইটা জিনিসকে একটুখানি বা মিস করে গেছি। আমার 30 বছরের অভিজ্ঞতা বলে ব্যাংকিং লাইনে প্রচুর বিজনেস ফেল করছে। আজকে যে বিজনেস স্টার্ট হচ্ছে উইদিন 5 ইয়ার্স তার 5 to 10% টিকে থাকে। তাহলে ওই যে আমাদের এসিটিভি ভদ্রলোকের যে কথাটা, বেসিক্যালি প্রচুর বিজনেস কিন্তু প্রতি বছরই কিন্তু তৈরি হচ্ছে, আলটিমেটলি 5 বছরের মধ্যে কিন্তু তার 90% নাই। এই লসটা নেশন বিয়ার করতেছে। এই জায়গাতে কিন্তু আমাদের অ্যাড্রেস করা দরকার। এই জায়গাতে ডিসিসি কিন্তু একটা অসম্ভব বড় কাজ করতে পারে, যে কেন এই যে 90% বিজনেস ফেল করছে, মিলিয়নস অফ টাকা কিন্তু লুজ করছে, মিলিয়নস অফ এন্টারপ্রেনার যে চ্যালেঞ্জ যেগুলো ছিল, যে আগ্রহ ছিল, উদ্দীপনা ছিল, সেগুলো চলে যাচ্ছে। এই জায়গাটা আমাদের অ্যাড্রেস করা উচিত। সেকেন্ড থিং, আমার এই ভাইয়ের কথাতে আমি আসছি, আমি এইটা নিয়ে যে কাজ আমার হয়েছে যেটা হচ্ছে রাইট অর্গানাইজেশন বলতে আমরা কি মনে করি, এই জায়গাতে কিন্তু আমরা আসছি না। রাইট অর্গানাইজেশন বলতে কি মনে করি, কি কি থাকলে একটা রাইট অর্গানাইজেশনের ফ্রেমটা দাঁড়াতে পারে। আমরা অধিকাংশ ব্যবসায়ী কিন্তু প্রথমে ব্যবসা শুরু করি, দেন অর্গানাইজেশনকে ফ্রেম করতে থাকি। এটা কিন্তু হচ্ছে যে ঘোড়ার আগে যে জুড়ে দেওয়া বলে না, গাড়ি জুড়ে দেওয়া। আমাদের বেসিক্যালি এখন আমরা কোন জেনারেশনের কিন্তু ব্যবসা করছি, সেই জেনারেশনের ব্যবসার জন্য প্রথমে রাইট অর্গানাইজেশন আমাদেরকে ঠিক করতে হবে, রাইট এন্টারপ্রেনার মাইন্ডসেট। আমরা অধিকাংশ যে ব্যাপারে এমপ্লয়ি মাইন্ডসেটে কিন্তু ব্যবসা শুরু করি, এবং যেটা আমাদের বিজনেস ফেলিয়ারের সবচেয়ে বড় কারণ। আরেকটা আমার ভাইয়ের কথাটা আমি বলি, আমরা আসলে কি আমরা যারা মালিক পক্ষ হয়ে এখানে বসে আছি, মূলত আমরা অধিকাংশ সময় এই যে বস্তুগত সম্পদটাকে কিন্তু যত গুরুত্ব দিই, হিউম্যান ক্যাপিটালকে কিন্তু তত গুরুত্ব দিচ্ছি না। কিন্তু আমি যদি এইরকম কনসেপ্টটা ধরি যে আমি একক মালিকানা, আমি সব কাজ করবো, দ্যাট মিনস 100% আমি কিন্তু ওনারশিপ, কিন্তু পারছি না, তখন কি হয়, আমি একজন লোককে নিচ্ছি, তার মানে আমার কাজ ওকে দিয়ে করাচ্ছি, মানে ও হচ্ছে আমার কিন্তু আরেকজন এক্সটেনশন। এইভাবে আপনারা যখন 50,000 লোক নিচ্ছেন, 50,000 আমার এক্সটেনশন, তার মানে আমি পারছি না বলে কিন্তু ওই কাজটি ওকে দিয়ে করাচ্ছি। তার মানে এই হিউম্যান ক্যাপিটালকে যতক্ষণ পর্যন্ত আমরা অ্যাড্রেস করতে না পারবো, আমাদের কিন্তু প্রোডাক্টিভিটি বাড়ছে না, আমাদের লসটা বেড়ে যাচ্ছে। ফাইন্যান্সিয়ালি আমরা কিন্তু স্কোর বোর্ডে কিন্তু আমাদের গ্রেট মার্কস দিতে পারছি না। আমি কিন্তু আমি জাস্ট এই কথাটা আপনাকে একটু শেয়ার করলাম, আমার অনেক দিনের অভিজ্ঞতার পর। থ্যাংক ইউ।
Ladies and gentlemen, now I have the pleasure to request Mr. Hossein Khalid, President of Dhaka Chamber of Commerce and Industry and the chief guest of today's program, to address the gathering.
নিজের বাসায় নিজেকে মেহমান দেখতে মজাই লাগছে। বিসমিল্লাহির রহমানির রহিম। On a lighter note, that was Mr. Humayun Rashid, Senior Vice President of Dhaka Chamber of Commerce and today's session chair. Mr. Muhammad Shoaib Chaudhry, Vice President of Dhaka Chamber of Commerce. Dr. Ahmed Sheikh Asif, Country Manager of Lynn Global. Designated discussants, Mr. Professor Dr. Muhammad Muhyiddin, today's presenters, Mr. Ernie, Mr. Deb, distinguished former directors, vice presidents, my fellow members and colleagues on the board, as well as in Dhaka Chamber of Commerce, my members, representatives of the media, Assalamu alaikum. There's no end to learn. And indeed today was another session where I actually ended up with a lot more knowledge. With a lot more knowledge that I need to be trained. That businesses need to be trained, employees need to be trained, and we train. We may have graduated from the universities or high schools or from wherever with a certain education background. Either it's in accounting, either it's in business or in engineering. But regardless, as we go along, especially as businessmen, as entrepreneurs, we also need to be trained. We also need to be retrained. We need to develop our skills in the areas that we did not learn in colleges or in universities or in schools. Because not everything is taught in schools. If it was, then there would not have been all these institutes and training institutes and coaching institutes who are providing that additional education. It's not a bad thing. Please don't take it negatively. I felt there was a lot of receptive and if I may say reactive approach from my members today in some instances. But that's a good thing. It's something new. I think Mr. Siddiqui had mentioned that we are not ready to take training. We sometimes think that we are businessmen and I know it all. Hum sab jante. That is the attitude that sometimes some businesses have. And trust me, I come from a business background and we are feeling the need of better trained people. I'm sure we have a lot of employers here today. All of my members, you are businessmen. And I'm sure that you all are all suffering from better human capital in your company. We are all suffering from the right person to do the right job. It's the right time that we have to invest in ourselves and we also have to invest in our people. Bangladesh is a country of 150 million people and still then we complain about not having the right resource, not having the right human resource, not having the right human capital to work for us, to take the country forward. We have been saying that of this 150 million people, 65% of the population are below the age of 35, which means we have a very strong group of young people who are either ready to join the workforce or become entrepreneurs. Once again, entrepreneurship cannot be taught. Entrepreneurship cannot be created. They can only be trained. They can be taught to be a better entrepreneur. Of the 1 million people that remain outside or out of the purview of jobs, that is, who remain unemployed annually, what are we doing? Like, we have been saying this for years and years, but what are we doing for this? And why is this that we have 1 million people who remain unemployed every year? Is it because of the mismatch in business requirement versus the academia? Is it that we are not creating enough jobs? Or there is not enough opportunities for us to create jobs? Is it that we are not investing enough? Is it the financial resources that is becoming a bottleneck? And more importantly, are we encouraging these young people enough